we're gonna keep this short and
It's
sweet.
going to be a speed session. Buckle up. All right, quickly, we're going to talk about some prop tech things, but I really wanted to ask you guys for a quick raise of hands. Who uses AI on a daily basis, such as ChatGPT or DeepSeek? Okay, I like it. It's like 50% of the room. So every single day, all of you guys that raised your hands are using it. I love it. Okay, perfect. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is actually personal productivity, because I wanted you guys to be able to take away something today that would help you with your efficiency, right? As property managers, we are pulled in a million directions, and oftentimes we're fighting a zillion fires. I wanted to tell you guys a little story first. Yeah, perfect. So when it comes to personal productivity, the reason that Rob and I wanted to do this event today was because we are entering an age and an era of digital transformation. When I started at this building, it was eyes wide open, tech fatigue when I would go home, and it was really exhausting. I felt like I didn't know anything that they were saying. Sometimes it was a little boring. But I wanted to show you guys some really helpful tools that you can take away today to increase your own personal productivity so that you can focus on high-value tasks. So to start with that.
Yeah. So when we talk, you want to sit down?
Yeah.
Sure. So here's the.
I'll sit here.
Okay. So here's the deal. When we talk about CRE technology, and as we talked about today, there's this perception that it just takes a lot of time to deal with. It does take a new amount of time to deal with, but that being said, you can still do it within the 40-hour week if you can become more productive in other areas. So, Devon, my question for you is, from a property management perspective and your team, can you give us some examples of how you've used technology to become more productive?
Yeah, I have 3 things that I use on a daily basis. ChatGPT is one of them. If you haven't used it, I highly recommend playing with it. And the more information you give it, the better information it's going to give you back. The other day, my kid came home from school. He's 13. He's an introvert. He loves dinosaurs and Godzilla. He got assigned as the team lead at school on a project. And he was like deer in the headlights. But I didn't even know this because he wouldn't even talk to me. Like, I couldn't get the information out of him. It's okay. I couldn't get the information out of him. So I literally go to ChatGPT. He's over there just sort of looking down. I go to ChatGPT. I'm like, you are an extremely busy mom with 4 children, and one comes home kind of off, and you're trying to get him to open up. What do you do? And I get these quick answers on what I can do. I give it to him, and he's finally talking to me. Come to find out, he is overwhelmed by being in this position. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know where to start. And I think that's where ChatGPT helps, because everybody suffers from writer's block and brain fatigue, and you just need a place to start. So believe it or not, pretty much this whole event has been constructed from ChatGPT. So that's my first productivity tool.
I will go so far to say, without our third ChatGPT over there in the seat, this would have been a lot harder to do. Would you say?
Yeah, it would have been, for sure. But the second productivity tool I use is Calendly. If you're not familiar with that, that's a software platform that helps enhance your scheduling, so you're not going back and forth, wasting time trying to plan a meeting with somebody. Has anybody used my Calendly link? Yes, and it's nice, right? Saved everybody some time. So that's my second productivity tool. And then the third one is Read AI, which Rob got me onto. Do you want to talk about Read AI?
Yeah, Read AI. Who here has heard of Read AI before? That's a good amount. So they're a sponsor for this event. And so what's happening is all the audio that we have from this event is being listened to by an AI bot. And that AI bot is just not transcribing, it's turning it into action items, chapter summaries. And where it makes us really productive is we always have this little thing at Intelligent Buildings, we call it the IB analyst, that comes into the meetings and listens to the meetings and then summarizes it for you. So instead of having to listen to a whole meeting again, you can read through it in an hour meeting in 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, plus it helps you to focus in the meeting. Sometimes I used to get so caught up taking notes that I would miss valuable information, and you can go back to this very quickly summarized report, see the tasks that you agreed to, that you didn't even realize you agreed to, and you can follow up and execute on those very quickly. So that's another really helpful tool. And after this event today, you will all get a copy of the Read AI report from this event and the speaking sessions. So you'll get a sample of what that looks like.
So let's move on to the next topic area, Devon, as far as takeaways. We talked about there's only so much time in a day, so we want to become more productive. But that's to free up time to do 2 other things.
Yeah, so as a property manager, we need to reduce expense and make money. And so part of this tech event is learning how to be more productive personally so that you can focus your time on the tasks that really matter. Because unfortunately, most property managers spend most of their days fighting fires and doing those nominal, menial tasks that you shouldn't be doing and that you need to automate so that you can focus on revenue-producing opportunities and cost-cutting strategies. So we talked about those personal productivity tools that you can use, and there's tons of other ones out there. And if you have one, I would love to hear about it at the cocktail hour, so please share with me. But some of those tools that you can use in an office building to be more productive and to save money is what we're going to go through next. So the first one is smart sensors. In this building, we have a couple different kinds of smart sensors. If you had to prioritize, I would tell you the first thing you should do is get sensors for your HVAC and your lighting, because those are the 2 highest consumers of money in a building. Here in this building, we also have wireless sensors. So this doesn't have to be a heavy lift or a really expensive thing. We installed them ourselves. You'll see these little white boxes if you can test it if you want. Throw some water under the water fountain on the sensor. I get an instantaneous text message alert that there's a potential leak. And we have these anywhere there's a water source in the building. Real-time text messages. I don't have to log into a dashboard or look at a chart. I'm getting these in real time and we can respond immediately. The other thing those same sensors do is read HVAC temperatures, humidity temperatures. So you're getting a whole diagnostic of what's happening in the building, and you can set parameters to alert you so that you know about a problem before your tenant complains about it. That same company that we use has also given us these wireless sensors that we have strapped on our water meters. And again, these all run off of cellular data. There's no heavy infrastructure here. And those sensors on the water meters are tracking vibrations to see how much water you're consuming through the meter. And they'll give you real-time alerts on any excessive usage. This can also be really helpful in a vacant building or an underpopulated building, maybe not completely vacant, but if you're on a weekend, there shouldn't really be water usage if it's an office building. You can see if people are stealing your water, if you have a leak, etc. So that's another one that's really helpful. And then the other thing I wanted to tell you guys was about Bodhi, and they're one of our sponsors here, but they have this seamless integrated platform, and again, not an expensive lift. You do not have to spend a ton of money on technology to find really valuable benefits, but what they offer is a very user-friendly dashboard that you don't really need a lot of training on. It's very intuitive, and for an office building this size, you could spend like $600 a year and be able to program your own lighting, program HVAC, and from a very simple dashboard. And why this is important is because when you get these softwares typically installed for the first time, they are not on a simple dashboard. Oftentimes you have to hire a third-party company to program the exterior lighting, and that could be a $6,000 plus contract annually. So there are very cheap, affordable options that you can use that are easier, more intuitive, cost less money. So you should definitely check with those.
So we talked a little bit about the productivity, which gives you the time back. So would you characterize that as stop firefighting?
Yes.
Yes. And then we talk about the connectivity that you have to a building and to these different sensors, whether it be mirrors and so forth. But let's move on to our third takeaway. And that is one that comes up a lot. And that is, well, if I got all this technology in the building, Am I creating new risk? Is the building going to lose some level of resiliency? And when you and I were chatting about this, and we chat about this a lot, but when we were chatting about this, the reality of it is buildings like we are in today, they're becoming more the norm. And if you are going to build a building that Mark talked about that's going to attract those young folks that are coming to Charlotte disproportionately to the older folks that are leaving, you're going to have more technology in a building. And cybersecurity, let's just get the elephant in the room. Cybersecurity is an issue you have to deal with. But the reality of it is, if you do it in a planned, proactive way, it doesn't have to be painful. Now, changing a password, you can't get rid of that. You're always going to have passwords. We can't eliminate those things, but we can make it a lot easier. And that's another example of what you do here at this building. Is this building is connected, but is very securely connected. It happens to be using our platform called Tenant. But the idea here is that you can get in front of cybersecurity concerns on new buildings. But if you have a group of existing buildings and you want to protect those, you can do those same capabilities. And it's something that you can't just be the ostrich burying the head in the sand here, right? You have to take advantage of it. Do you have any other comments on that?
No. Fourth and final key takeaway in this speed session is we need to increase productivity so that we can focus on those high value tasks. And the way we increase revenue in our building is through tenant satisfaction, right? When tenants are in the building, when they're happy, when they're staying, that brings rent and revenue to the ownerships. And so what are tenants looking for? What makes them happy? And a couple of things we have here, which have been really well received, is digital access. You will notice that, well, not today because we unlocked it for you, but you have to use your phone to get into the garage, to get up the elevators, to get into the gym. And this is a more secure way. I mean, let's face it, nobody wants to carry around access badges anymore. You always have your phone on you. And with biometrics, this becomes a very secure way to provide access in your building and an efficient way. It's very easy to set users up. So that's one. And then the other is our tenant experience app. You heard earlier how with the transit-oriented development, everything can get integrated into the app. So we have our fitness waivers in there. The access control is through the app. We can validate parking tickets through the app. All the tenant communications are through the app. It's a one-stop shop for our tenants to get information about the building. And so those two things I think are really helpful in keeping our tenants happy and giving us that ROI.
So just sort of summarize, the takeaways here are increased productivity, lower your operating cost, address cybersecurity, and finally, it's all about the tenant.
Right.
And if you can elevate the experience for your tenants in the process, you end up improving NOI.
Exactly.
And hopefully, as cap rates start to compress a little bit, well, Mark didn't give us a lot of optimism about that, but if they do, then that accelerates things. So hope that was interesting.